Good evening, everybody, and thank you very much for those of you. This program is labeled HeyCoach, which is a program from the stable of DLI, Development, Empowerment, and Leadership Initiative. We are an NGO that is committed to human and infrastructural development, one man at a time, one community at a time. And the program is HeyCoach. It's one of the that is targeted primarily at professionals. So whether you are working class or you are an entrepreneur, the plan is that as we mature the program, we may end up having to separate between the entrepreneurship class and the working class. For now, what we are doing is trying to combine both so that we're in a position to add value starting from where we are, and then as we go along, we are able to expand that value and create something specific for each set of our audience. So for those who are new, I think it is just necessary to go through what this program is all about before we get into today's program. So this is not a training. On our DLI channel on YouTube, you will see over, I think, maybe 150, 120 different trainings we've done, but this is not a training. This is meant to be an opportunity to get coaching services for free. And looking at how it has been since we started, I'm actually of the opinion that we should start an instant messaging group, maybe on WhatsApp to start with, which we can then create an opt-in code. Because the idea of this is not for you to wait until when there's a monthly session. The idea is that if there's something bothering you, a decision you're about to take, something you want to do, you can quickly drop it. If you don't want to drop it directly on the group, you can drop it with me. I can then share it on the group, because the idea behind HeyCoach is to be a crowdsourced coaching service, meaning that it is not about just one person that is doing all the talking on all the coaching. We can do some peer coaching, share experiences, and then at different times we bring other people on board that will join the program. And one of the things we are very passionate about is discipline. So discipline is not just about it's not something you just talk about, it's something you practice. And that is why, even if there's nobody on the program at 6 o'clock, we are going to start, and we will continue that way until we build discipline that we keep time. And to ensure that we keep time, the room will open at least 15 minutes before the program. Today, we actually opened more than 30 minutes before this program started. And the idea is 15 minutes allows us to kind of throw banters, settle down, just do hi, and then we can build it from there. With the proper formalities will start about 5 minutes before time. The whole essence is 6 on the dot, we are going to start. And apologies that we had to push this by 1 week, because last week was the UEFA Champions League final, and we didn't want to run into a situation where the match would get in the way of those who wanted to attend. That's why we had to move this out. So we will do our best to keep this monthly ritual so that at least there's some touch point. And like I said, at the end of the program, I will try and raise it again. If you guys think that's a good idea to have an IM group, an instant messaging group like WhatsApp or Telegram, where we can share perspectives and where we can share experiences, then we will do that immediately after the program. So what is the structure of the program? The program is structured such that the first 15 minutes will be for presentation. It's just to set the tone. So what we expect, or what we think we are going to build up to, is that in the course of the month, individuals can send in what is top of mind for them. We had a better response this time than we did the first time. There are people here talking about how do I make progress in my next career. Somebody talking about business plan. Somebody talking about how do I keep passion. A lot of things was sent in this time, which is very exciting. So the whole idea is that based on whatever is sent in, we will see if there's any common thing that is trending, if you like, that will guide our choice of focus for the next program. But if we get the instant messaging group going, it then means that people can drop their questions and they don't have to wait 1 month for us to get this going. But whichever session we are having, the first 15 minutes will be like a conceptual discussion around what we're talking about. And then the remaining of the period will go into discussions around it. And we will try and take a scenario. It could be live, it could be inferred, but we will take a scenario so we can speak to that scenario, because when it comes to some of the things we are going to be talking about, the context is very important. Similar problem, different contexts can require different response. So we try and situate the context so that the principle is clear, it's easy for you to then do your own combination that will deliver the answers that you are looking for. And if you are going to be contributing, as we mature, we hope that we can keep it to like 2 minutes per contribution. You could come up many times, but this is to ensure that as many people as possible have the opportunity to participate in the conversation. And like I said, we are hoping that we will continue. We have an Instagram page. We are having problem with our Twitter account, but we'll try and solve it. But like I said, if we then succeed in creating the instant messaging, it will help. And it's also an opportunity for us to develop talent. So we are hoping to mature the journey. People want to volunteer to do one thing or the other, like somebody on this call now, who is doing the administrative work, who is making sure that people are muted when they need to mute, those who are not connected, is doing the back end and coordinating. There will be special guests that we need to bring in. You could recommend somebody, it could even be you, but we want to be sure that the quality of the individual meets the standard we are trying to set. So that will be some start and hope will mature over time. This is what the program is about. Those who are joining for the first time, and we will repeat this a couple of times until it settles. Now, I don't know if anybody has any on this before we go forward. I can see that we have a few people in here now compared to when we started. Mr. Bijola, good to have you here. Any question from anybody? Any question from anybody? IBK, I see you. Thanks for joining. Please just unmute and say something. Let me be sure that you can hear me. Any question, any clarification on the program structure? Any thoughts about how we could make it more interesting and more engaging? Marvelous, I see you. Any comment? Yinka, if you can hear me, your audio is still not connected. Please connect your audio. Yes, go on, IBK. I think.
Yes, I can. I'm with the program. I think it's a laudable one. That is very clear. Movements to be done, and it will be communicated.
Thank you. I know that somebody is listening. So today, our focus for today is on what happens after you have been promoted. Incidentally, somebody joined that question. What happens when you have been promoted? What do you need to worry about? And for the entrepreneur that is also amongst us, we will also be looking for a point of, as an entrepreneur, how do you go about promoting people? And how do you ensure that when you promote them, you give them a good chance to succeed. This is what we are going to be talking about in the next 15 minutes. So now that you have been promoted, what next? Now, promotion does not even necessarily have to be in the same organization. It could be a promotion that takes you out of your current company to a different one, whether it is when you get a higher role, particularly when it is at the early stages of your leadership journey. What do you do? So, typical of me, I like to start with something a bit philosophical, which you will find here that says that anytime your role changes, anytime, even if it is the same job in a different team or the same job in a different company, the rules of engagement changes. The rule of engagement changes. It is therefore necessary that you are aware of this and you take steps to avoid the common pitfalls. Before I get into this, I'll tell a quick story. I joined Schlumberger 1997, and it's a group of companies. I joined the Jico Prakla one. The name of the company I joined was Schlumberger Jico Prakla. That was the seismic study part of the group. They're the first to go when there's an oil exploration job. And I had a very exciting boss. His name was Tunde Badru, in the US. The boss was so exciting that, and this was 1997, not now that workplace is so liberalized, but this was a boss that if I was playing game, I remember we used to play game like solitaire. The computer were relatively new at that point at the level of everybody having it. He would come to my seat, play with me and tell me that he can beat my highest score and we will be competing. My boss during work hours, 1997. But when it comes to work, we get the job done. And that was my first job. Being a new staff, I just took it for granted that that's how all bosses are. So 1997, I joined Jico Prakla. 1998, that was in the heat of a Abacha problem. Jico Prakla was shut down and I was transferred to Noel. And then I had a new boss. I'll mention his name just in case this video gets somewhere else. And I took it for granted that the way Tunde was relating with me as my boss is the same way that my new boss was going to relate with me. And it so happened that for 3-4 months after I joined, they couldn't transfer my detail, they couldn't get my salaries paid. And I was in Faraway, Port Harcourt, no father, no mother. It was very tough trying to get accommodation. It was brutal. And one day, I met my boss on the corridor, like 3 months after I joined Dowell. And I said, boss, my pay, I've not received anything. He said, we are working on it. And then my answer was, oh, please, I'm tired of that story. Now, this is something I would say to Tunde Badru and we will not even consider it be anything. Do you know that until I left that group in 2000, this simple conversation on the corridor became a label I had to carry on my back. So every time you get promoted, every time you change your role, every time you change your job, every time you change your company, the rules of engagement changes. So if you are changing job, you are changing role, what got you there is not likely going to take you to where you are going. That realization is the first most important thing you need to be aware of as you go on. Now, let's take a specific scenario. Okay, so this is that's why this is not a training, just to set the conversation going. So we have a model in front of us who is a 30-year-old mom, has 2 children, young children between 7 and 9, very busy woman, has done her best to combine work and family, and she's not doing too badly. She works in an FMCG firm, and after 5 years of being an individual contributor, meaning she's doing stuff that the company could see the difference. In that period, she's had salary review twice, They know her value in the team. Promoted to manage 5 employees. Now remember that the people she's not going to be managing are the same people that they were colleagues a minute ago, an hour ago. So the letter came and poor Modele, very excited about how everything is going. And then the reality sets in. What do I do? So these same people that we all now roll together, how do I start to give instructions? How do I assume responsibility for them? What do I need to do? Okay, so she's excited, but nobody has told her exactly what she needs to do. And there are different personalities. Some are older than her, some joined before her. All that scenario exists. Some are even more qualified than her in certain respects. So what should she do? The summary of this problem is, how do you start your leadership journey every point in time? Remember that it does not matter whether you have been a manager or a leader for 15 years. Every new job is a new start. There's something I teach that is called stakeholders management. You may want to dig it up and understand. You are changing into a new company. Your first job is to understand the stakeholders. You need to do something that is called the power interest grid and know who sits where, so that you know how to survive in the system that you find. It's about starting your leadership journey. And if you don't take anything away from the session, the thing to take away from this session is the fact that you need to have the consciousness that every time you change your job, every single time your job changes, the rule of engagement changes. If that's all you remember, you are likely going to find your way to the solution that you need. So how do you start your leadership journey? Okay, it is satisfying, yes. You now have people respect you, even though some will begin to also compete with you, and some may begin to contest with you. Some may think that the way they get to excel is when they undermine you, particularly feel like they should have also been given, and that they think it is their job to undermine you and make you look incompetent. But remember that usually to get to where you are, particularly if you are just getting to care, the technical skills is what got you to where you are. But the primary thing you need to know that the technical skills that got you to where you are a very brilliant individual contributor. People see the job that you do. The thing that got you to where you are now. Can you hear me? I'm hearing that my audio is breaking up. Is it still breaking up? Is it okay now? Can you hear me? I'm sorry, I'm not.
It's breaking up. It's breaking up continuously. Sorry about that.
Continuously changing. Up till now.
Yes, that's true.
Is it better now?
Okay.
It seems it's better now.
It seems so.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not in my base, so I'm contrapting different things together to get this to work. I hope.
Is your video on? Maybe turn off video.
Okay, I can turn off my video.
For this session, yes.
Yeah, that's fine. I think my video off, having my video off will certainly help. Let me do that. Okay, so let's see over the next 1 minute that it gets better.
I think it's better.
All right, thank you. So the first thing you must realize is that what you need to stand out as an individual contributor is an excellent job. You do exceptionally well. People notice you. They know what you're doing. They respect your job. You are the star. You are on top of your game. That's what got you to where you are promoted. But the news, and which is summary of everything we are saying today, is that once you check that box, technical skills cannot get you to where you are going. Technical skills alone, or technical skills being your primary domain, cannot get you to where you are going. You now need to build more and more and more of people's skills. Unfortunately, the scope of what we are talking about will not go into all the people's skills, but the meaning is you must find skills that help you to understand people, skills that help you to relate with people, skills that help you to manage conflict and disagreement, the skills that helps you to get to influence people, to get them to listen to you, to get them to want to do things you want done because they want to do it. It's very difficult because these are things that are very deep in our personality. They are very deep in our ontology. Somebody who is a very high D, direct, in your face, goal-oriented, driven, it's very difficult for that person to realize that that is good, but it's not the only tool I need to have. And the person who is always timid and always never ready to engage, never ready to confront, must also learn how to design and execute and be firm, all in the name of getting the team to perform. So you need to realize that when you are an individual contributor, your result is measured by what you are able to do yourself through yourself. When you start assuming leadership positions, then your measurement now becomes what you are able to get done through the other people. You get measured on the productivity of the team. And this is the mindset that you need to have, because if you have that mindset, then it is easy thereafter to work on whatever you need to work on. And a few things about what we are talking about, just to let you know that it is not peculiar, okay? It is not unusual. You rarely find people who get sent to school or get sent to training before they are trusted in leadership position, okay? And research has shown that most people say that they need more training, they need more help, because all of a sudden you are to switch from being responsible for yourself to being responsible for everybody else. So if this research is true, then I hope everybody on this call is able to take something out of it. So as I land, what do you do? What do you do when you find yourself thrust into a new leadership role? When you find yourself thrusted into a new leadership role, what do you do? Number one is the mind preparation, the mental preparation, which I've been talking about. It is so critical. It's so critical because for the mental preparation, if that one does not happen first, it is extremely difficult for you to transit and navigate that journey. So there are 4 things. You have to take care of the mental preparation. You then need to know that if you have not started, your leadership development journey must start. And then be aware of traps that you must avoid. And then you must do your best to build a support system. So when we speak about mental preparation, we've mentioned this overly. Just know that it's a different game. It's not about I lower my head, I knuckle down, I get my stuff done, and I deliver excellent results. That is now a very small fraction of the game. The bigger fraction of the game is how do you get the different people that work in your team? How do you get them to knuckle down? How do you get best from them? How do you get their full cognitive, emotional, physical, all that you require from them? How do you get it done? That is the biggest game. If this one is missing, the other 3 are very difficult to layer on it. Because when you then realize that, okay, I have a gap here. I'm not very friendly, or I'm too direct, or I'm too harsh, or I'm too into myself, or I'm too timid, or wherever you are starting from is what then leads to the next point, which is leadership development. Then say, this is where I am, this is where I need to get to. How do I bridge that gap? And I've mentioned a few things that are critical for you to develop here: emotional intelligence, managing people, how to communicate, how to do your visioning, how to come up with your strategy, how to drive execution, how to measure performance, how to drive discipline. All of those things are different things you need to build depending on where you are starting from. Now, number 3, you need to be aware of certain traps you must avoid. When you are newly promoted, usually it oscillates between two extremes. Some people are too afraid, they want to hide behind their desk. They think that all of a sudden they are overwhelmed. Okay, they are afraid to get into the space because in their head they are thinking maybe this person knows more than me. They think that leadership is about being the only one that has the answers, or that leadership is about having the best answers. No. And I say this, and I'm going to say it again if you can listen very slowly. The measure of your success as a leader is being able to get your team to come up with the best solution. It's not about you being the one to give them the solution. Otherwise, you are still trying to be an individual contributor. So break that jinx. Don't be. Some people are hiding behind their desk because they feel inadequate. They feel incompetent. Some are struggling with, now that I've been appointed as a leader or a supervisor, these are my colleagues. How do I assert myself? How do I give instruction? And some also oscillate to the other end. They start to carry shoulder. They start to booga around the office, and they don't want to be communicative. They want to be dominated. They want to meddle. All of a sudden, because you're not supervisor, everything that happened must pass through you as if you are the clearing house. Or some will even run. So again, back to the second point is, whatever you find is what helps you to know what to do, but avoid these traps. Because if you go the wrong road, you can acquire that label that will now make it very difficult for people to follow you. And the last but not least is, you need to try and build a support system. Find a mentor, find a coach. Is the reason why we have started this program, because it is very difficult, if not impossible, to have two scenarios that are exactly the same. So each scenario you get to, if you have a coach, if you have a mentor, it helps you. That person can help you from experience, ask all the right questions. Even if you cannot give you a decision, gives you the variable you need to mix to go and find your own decision. And then as you learn, you come back, you debrief, you go, you come back, you debrief. So learn to find somebody that you can always bounce your stuff off, and then through that person you can learn and avoid mistakes that others have already made. So, and if you're an entrepreneur here, it's still a big responsibility to manage promotion. And for the entrepreneur that I know is here, or anybody here else that is an entrepreneur, please know that the quality of success, or let me say it differently, the success that you achieve through your promotions can directly affect how far and how well your organization succeeds. If you don't get your promotions right, you can destroy everything you are doing, and by the time you realize, it may not be terrible. The people you promote define how the culture of your organization will evolve. The people you promote defines whether the people below them are going to stay in your company or they are going to leave. Somebody said, they are bosses. So leadership appointment is a very, very important thing, either as an entrepreneur or as a senior management team, because I see some senior management team here. In promoting people, you need to be sure you are deliberate, and then you need to be sure that you are prepared to help them to succeed. So whether you are an entrepreneur or you are a senior management team or you are somebody who has the responsibility to promote other people, you need to start by ensuring that there is a clear evaluation of the new role. This new role, what is it about? Beyond just the title, what are the technical skills required? What are the behavioral skills required? And ensure that the person you are appointing to the job is the most fit person. If you cannot find internally, you are better off bringing somebody internal. If you find a good candidate internal who is not ready, you are better off investing money to prepare that person and be sure that the person can be ready. Because if you miss it at that point, it becomes very, very expensive. Firing them becomes very difficult. You do not know who is loyal to them. You do not know. It gets very messy. So let's assume now that you have a clear view of what the role is all about, and you are sure that you have a good fit in the person. Then these are recommendations on how to manage that person as you start. The first thing is, once the euphoria of the appointment has cleared, and I'm speaking this again to senior management team in employment, remember that the same way the managers, supervisors, or leaders' role is about the result they are delivering through their team, you too, it is the result that you are delivering through your different teams that define whether you are going to succeed as a senior management team. So once the euphoria has settled down, you need to get into a serious conversation with that person. Ensure that the person has the same understanding that you have about the role. Because that at that time, the mindset to listen and learn and apply and adopt is still there. If you miss it at that point, it's very difficult. So make sure that you have the same understanding. Make sure that if there is any doubt, you provide the required clarification. And number three is extremely essential. Ask the person, how can I help you? Now, it's obvious that if you are also the person that has been newly promoted, if your boss asks you, how can I help you? You must be quick to ask for help. If you are not able to ask at that time, you can say, please, can I just give me 1 month, give me 2 weeks, give me this period to settle into the role, and I will come back with how you can help me. So entrepreneurs here, bosses here, make sure you offer to help. And the newly promoted superstar, make sure you are willing to take that offer and make best of it. And then the manager, the leader, the entrepreneur must be clear to communicate the expectations for the role. Okay, the things this person needs to start, the things this person needs to stop, the things this person needs to improve on, the things this person needs to delegate. You have no idea how powerful this session is for the newly promoted. If there's anything that can quickly stabilize and ground and help new managers to succeed, it is one. So that once you do that for them, then they are able to get on their journey and start to run. Okay. And for once you've done that engagement, whatever support the employee or the junior staff is asking for, please make sure you provide the support, watch out for them, and give them regular feedbacks. Even if they are doing well, they need that affirmation because they don't know. They are just grappling and groping and they're trying things out. They need to know how they're doing. Not giving them the feedback does not help them. If it is possible, you can help them find a mentor. You can help them find a coach. So if it's a big organization, you can find somebody to coach them. If it is not, you can find somebody externally to coach them. Like I said, when we started, we are thinking of starting an instant messaging group where we could possibly just see an opportunity where people can just drop whatever they have. That's an opportunity where they can get coached. But make sure that if it is your power, you help them to get a coach. So these are the things you can do as an entrepreneur or the senior management team when your company is growing and you have to create leadership positions and appoint people into such position. This is how you get it done. So in conclusion, just know that you can't lead anyone further than you have gone yourself. We cannot lead anyone further than we have gone ourselves. So therefore means that our job as leaders is to ensure that we can accelerate our journeys and go faster and farther. And go faster, go farther than the people we are trying to lead, so that it is easier for them to follow us. And then we have the experience that is required for us to succeed in that role. So that will be the end of the presentation part of this program. The floor is now open. You can ask questions. It may be something you have related to this, or you can make contributions based on what we have shared. The floor is open. The floor is open. Please feel free to chime in.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. I would like to ask a question.
Please go ahead, sir.
Yes, my name is Ibukun. So I've just recently changed environment from manufacturing to security. Yes. And it's still a managerial position, although it's still a managerial position, but in my new position, I'm supposed to report to the executive director based on the company's organogram. Yes. But there's an head of business administration. So now, unofficially, I kind of report to the head of business administration, but we are supposed to be on the same level.
Yes.
Now, from what I've gathered from today's session, which is quite helpful, I understand that he holds the ears of a lot of people, and he determines quite a lot. So my question is, how do I identify who are the key, what was the word? Key power stakeholders. Power interest. Okay, yes, in that space. Then how, because I also completely agree, it's not really about technical competence, because currently I can say I don't know what are the standards for security or safety, but I do know maybe how to just talk around quality or something. But how do I now make sure that it is not about just me working, it is about me working and not unnecessarily stressing myself and having, because the mental pressure, to be sincere, sometimes it's just crazy. Trying to understand which meetings to avoid. There was a meeting I attended on Friday, and I'm having a falling feeling. I'm not supposed to attend that meeting. I was supposed to run away from them. I just don't know. So I want to understand how to navigate that plane and be able to say, okay, how do you make sure your work is done and everybody knows that you know what you are doing, and at the same time staying under the radar and not, I don't know if that makes any sense, staying under the radar and not attracting so much people who would unnecessarily make your life difficult, and at the same time having sufficient clarity, because even when you ask your superior, what exactly do you do? They just run through a list of a lot of things. But when you sit down and summarize all the things that is done, it's not something you can do for a day. It's something you can do for, in my own head, an hour. So I'm wondering, why do you have to do it for a day and expand it for months? So that's my question. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Okay, so let me try and distill before I throw the line open. What you are saying is that by organizational structure design, you are in a role and there's another person you call head of admin or what?
Head of business administration.
Head of business admin. So by design, your role and that business admin role is supposed to be on the same level, yes?
Yes.
And both of you are supposed to report to
the executive director.
The director. But what you have found is that there is this unwritten expectation that you should go through this business admin person to get to the executive director. Did I catch that correctly?
Yes. Yes.
It's unwritten.
And from what I've got,
what I've gathered
from the okay, sorry, continue.
Go on.
From what I've gathered from the previous person who held the role,
yes,
his association with the executive director was too strong, and he just left the role because he's supposed to. Maybe he felt it's more strategic to do an ED to the head of business operation is more of a lift and do work rather than more of a strategy and all this business strategy work.
You have confused me there. You are saying that there is this expectation that you go through this business and admin person to get to your executive director. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So your question now is what? How do you navigate that? Are you supposed to continue in that same pattern? Or I want you to reduce your question to something that is very clear so that others on the call can then contribute to it.
Yes, should I continue in the same pattern? And how do I do so that it does not seem as if I want to overstep overstep, yes.
Okay, so now let me add something that many of you may not have heard. So you are new in this company, yes?
Okay, yes, barely.
Now, this ED that you are talking about has been in that company for how long? Do you know?
I think 8 years. Yeah, 8 years.
Do you have any idea how long he or she has been on that role?
The ED or the head of business administration?
This head of admin is what I'm asking for. How long has the head of admin been in the company and on that role?
5, 6 years.
On that role or in the company, or both?
Both.
So now your JJC is coming, and what you are meeting on ground is that to get to this man, even though you're supposed to be on the same level, you need to make sure this person is on your side, because there is a way to always come back to this person, and if you're not on your side, then you can be thrown under the bus. Did I say it correctly?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Please. Ladies and gentlemen, the floor is open. Does anybody have anything to contribute to this? Teresa, I see your question. I will come back to that. Yes. Any contribution from anybody on IBK's question?
Okay, so I'll just throw a little of my experience. I've been in such a case before, and I think it's very common. I think it's very, very common. I mean, because human beings changes everywhere. So I think you need to learn the rope from the guy that is technically on your level, but then he's on your level, but the experience with respect to the company, the management believes you need to learn some rope from him or her. I think that's the way it is. Now, of course, we all know that not just that, since he is more inclined to the ED, or by the virtue as he's even been there for 8 years, he's generally going to be inclined. So for me, it took me time to manage it. It was after all, I need to create a sort of friendship with the person. And, in this present world where you don't even know, as much as the friendship is, workplace friendship is not something, just to have a good rapport, learn how he feels about each of the line of actions. We don't have the same line of action, but most things somehow needs to go through him, as you have said. And they kept it. So by and large, what I felt is the management kept it there because there is already a high trust, in quotes, for that person that has been there for 8 years. And I think for the next 1 year, you still need to accept it that way. I'm sorry. I hope that makes some sense.
Perfect sense. And by the way, Mr. Abe is talking from Turkey. Thank you for chiming in. Yes. Anybody else wants to share?
Yeah, good evening.
Yes, sir. Mr. Adetayo, go on, sir.
Thank you, sir. I'm Adetayo, and I would like to speak to this as well. I've been in the same shoes, but fortunately, I'm at the other side, where somebody new came in, and we ought to be on the same level. But because of the company culture and family experience, it seems like the person has to talk to me and report to me. Initially, I was seeing it as a form of arrogance, because I feel you are new here, and I'm not trying to boss over you, but I'm just trying to do my job and to ensure that we get along well. But the other person, I guess, is not seeing it that way. But the solution was simple. We just had time to talk more, and we became friends. And as of today, the way we work in the company, it just seems like nobody cares who is even ahead or below. The major thing is just to ensure that the work is done. So I think the major thing is just to ensure that you and the person work hard as friends first. And then once you are at that friendship zone, you get to even move along well without even caring or minding to know who is higher or who is on my level or not on my level. The focus then will just be, let's get the job done. Thank you.
Fabulous. Well said. Yes. Who else wants to contribute? Who else wants to contribute? Anybody else has any experience to share? Okay, while you are thinking about it, I had to dig this out. Let me just show you. This is the power interest matrix. Before I go into this, IDK, you see, if new managers get exposed to this training and they buy into it, their wound will be very little. As a matter of fact, what you have said does not even need to be stressed. How do I explain this? I spent 6 months. I spent 6 months from November to early this year working in Kaduna. Please, does anybody have to beg me before I start asking people, how do you enter bus? How do you ask how much is it? I want to barb my hair. Where can I barb? Where is the market? You don't know a place. Arrogance, when you talk about social skills and regional skills, this is the biggest problem that we have as human beings. It's the natural thing to do. In fact, the person you need to bond with or board with may even be somebody lower than you, but you are new in a role, you are new in a team, you are new in a company. You lose nothing by being humble to learn the rope. In fact, a worst scenario is where you want to bond with somebody and the person is not willing to help you because the person is thinking the more you know, the less power they have. That's even a worst scenario. So if you have somebody who is on your level or lower than you, who is ready to take you under their wings, you are very, very fortunate because it's a natural thing to do. And the day you then realize that emotional intelligence and knowing that this is not about what you can do on your own, is what you can do through people, then this becomes very simple and easy for you to do. Like Mr. Adetayo said, it may be the way for 1 year, it may be the way for 6 months. Guess what? The person you're even looking at today may not even be there in 6 months. It may move to a new role, it may move from the company. So your job is to see how quickly can you bed in and get the knowledge, the know-how, study and know the terrain. And like Mr. Abe said, see, there are certain people I know of a company in this Lagos I've been working with for a while. And it happens everywhere. There are people who are kept in the organization purely for the trust. They are not super competent, they are not exceptional, but over the years, they've won the trust that we can trust this person. And so if that person speaks against you, let me go through this thing. Can you see my screen, please? Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, but it's
Now,
not yet showing anything.
This is called the power interest matrix. So you have power on one side, you have interest on the other side. So to my biggest point, what you need to do is, as you are going about your job and you are meeting people, you need to start listing their names and placing them on wherever they are here. So you have low power, low interest, high power, high interest. You need to start looking. So powerful people are people who can on their own decide and their decision stands. They have the power to make things happen. Interest are those who just have the passion and they are keen on whatever is going on. If you have anybody in the high power, high interest, you must manage them closely. They have power and they have interest. It means that any misstep like this, you are on your way out, and there is nobody that will stop them. If you have somebody who is high power, low interest, make sure they are satisfied. If you have somebody who is high interest, low power, make sure they are well informed about what they are doing, because one day you will need a team member or somebody to your spectator, your cheer people who will cheer you on. These are the people. And then people that you require the minimum effort on are the low power, low interest. So if you become a new manager, to those who have changed jobs who are here, for those who have changed company, your first 6 months, you are listing the people you are interacting with and you are trying to place them here. If you don't do the right classification, you are not likely going to be able to manage them properly. And if you don't manage them properly, it can become a frustrating thing for you. And sometimes, to Mr. Abe's point, all they need is just that recognition that, okay, you met us here, and then we give you the respect. And believe me, by the time it's your turn for somebody else to come, you realize how valuable it is for the new person to recognize that there is a way things are done here, not because it's perfect, but don't just come and be stepping on everybody's ground like this land just existed as a vacuum before you came. So learning to respect and integrate is a critical success factor when you are changing roles, when you are changing your organization. But in my journey with MTN, I moved from one side of, I moved like 3 times from different side of the business. When you get to the new side, my first job has always been find the leaders there, find those who know there. And don't be ashamed to tell them, I am new here, I need you to help me. I'm going to lean heavily on you. I'm going to be asking you shitload of questions. So don't be annoyed with me when I keep coming back, because I need to understand. See, that opening statement and opening engagement can be what will open the door for you completely. But a different scenario, which you can talk about some other time, is if you now find a resistor. Because if you have a blocker as a managed closely, you are in trouble, big trouble. You can't afford to have a blocker as a high power, high interest. The worst you can have is a neutral. Better for you when you have supporters. Because if you have a blocker as high power, high interest, your life will be very, very hard. So if you now you can get to scenarios where the old people do not even want to accept you. They don't even want to show you anything. They want you to just be groping in the dark. What do you then do? It's a completely different conversation. But if you find people who are open and ready to help you, you are lucky. Marry them. Serve on them. Learn from them. It doesn't take away your prestige. It doesn't take away your independence. It doesn't take away your right. It doesn't take away your position. It doesn't take away your reputation. It will only enhance it. And then when you mature and you know your way around, you will not need to do any formal freedom. Even they themselves, you know that, yes, you are now of age and you can run on your own. I don't know if that satisfies your question, sir.
It helps a lot, sir. Thank you very much.
Teresa, this question, thanks so much, sir. God bless you. I would like to know how one can excel in investment banking. moving from financial accounting to investment banking. Can anybody help us here? Anybody? I'd like to know how one can excel in investment banking. I'm moving from pure financial accounting to investment banking. Anybody able to help us? Anybody? Anybody? Okay, so let me, yes, somebody wants to say something?
I want to say something. I don't know if it's the same field.
Please go ahead. Is it the same? Well, they are similar. They are the same what we call job family, but they are very different. The same way as you have found that moving from company A to company B is very different, even though you are supposed to still be the same quality person.
Well, one thing I found out is always be willing to self-learn. There's a lot of information out there. So much information out there. Always be willing to learn. Then, as much as possible, even if somebody does not understand what the person currently do, you can just agree with the person, but do not tell the person he or she is wrong. Even if they think that what they are doing is right, like, okay, that's good. I think it's okay like this. Submit assignments the same way they want it to be submitted. Then maybe after like 2 or 3 months, just be introducing new things that you think you want them to do, but always do the same thing they want, that they would understand, because anything they don't understand, they would resist. I don't know if that will help.
Very well said. Yes. Anybody else wants to help? Moving from pure financial accounting to investment banking. Anybody wants to help?
John, I've been raised his hand.
Well, just from management perspective, I mean, so one of the things, I'm sure the person that is taking you knows you have more than basic experience in this field. So get a good book. That's something that comes to mind for me. Get a good book or 1 or 2 good books. Grab the basics. And just like what we said in the last one, find your supporter, find people that knows the ground with respect to this particular department that you are going in. If possible beforehand, that would be good. I'm sure you can easily find them around, and I'm sure there are resources around. Well, first thing that comes to mind, get a basic 1 or 2 books that grabs that investment banking area and just kick off on it and find your supporters. Just like it has been said, finding the supporters in every organization is very important so that you can, so by and large, in my experience in work area, not finding them, which sometimes it can be tough, not finding them can mean you are shooting yourself in the leg. So
yeah, very true. Very true. I don't know if my audio is still good now that my video is up again. Can you hear me well?
I think so.
Just go incognito again.
No, I think without the slide too, it will be better. I think so.
Okay, so let's see if that works. Yes, thank you very much, Mr. John. Yes, anybody else wants to chime? I'm moving from pure financial accounting. I'm moving to investment banking. Yes. Okay, so Teresa, like we've said,
Ibukun is raising up his hand.
Yes, you raise your hand.
I just wanted to ask for clarification. How do you identify your supporters?
Okay, let's come back to that. Pause that question. Let me first of all speak to Teresa. Teresa, what you will find is that the biggest thing is the first thing that we said. See, if you move from investment banking A to investment banking B or investment banking C, the way they run their shift will be different. So what you need to do is to go into that company with humility and with simplicity. Do your best to find somebody you can hook with. For most of those investment banking organizations or even any organization in the financial system, they will already have templates. They will have procedures for you to write an investment. You do this, you get this kind of document. You do this kind of ratio analysis on it. You check this kind of document. They have if it's a standardized one, they will have a journey of what they do. Go in with the student mind. Go in ready to learn. Make no pretense. We think, many of us, and I wish I knew this before, when you are appointed like this, you think that, oh, the way to show is by being braggadocious and trying to bully your way in. No. Interview is over now. In interview, you can want to bully your way through. Interview is over now, you're on the door. You have a period of honeymoon when you can ask any stupid question and anybody will accept you. And they will not look and wonder what's wrong with this one. For how long have you been here? So level with them. Go in. Find the willing person. And that's what Ibuku's point. You will know them. Your supporters are the ones when you get to a new job, they want to know your name. They will just pass by you and they will say, how are you finding this? They are going to come and ask you, have you eaten today? Do you know where to buy food? They are the ones that when you go to them for help for one thing, they want to give you 4, they want to give you 5. They are willing to come back and check and say, hey, did you get that thing? Those are your supporters. You will know them. They can be lower, they can be same, they can be junior. But find supporters. You need somebody who can show you around. Somebody who can hold your hand and say, this is where you have the toilet. This is how you put on the cup here. This is how. It's so important. I remember when I first got into a organization. If you are like me, you sit down and you don't even know where toilet is. I don't even know where to eat. And for the first few days, you may be going hungry. But somebody will come and ask you and say, have you eaten today? Do you know how to order food? Should I order for you? Some people will even come and say, your first lunch is on me. I'll pay for it. That's how you identify them. And even if they are not the ones that step forward, there are people that when you ask for help, you see them willing. They are ready to go the extra mile. They are ready to accommodate you. They want to know how you are finding. How do you take your bus? What's the route you drive through? There's a shorter route here. This place can have traffic. A whole lot. So it's written all over their faces. You just need to know how to read it. So I hope I've answered the 2 questions. Teresa, level and learn. And I'm not taking anything away from what both Ibuku and John have said. Go online. There is nothing you want to learn. You can't find resources. Get books. You'll find material. And you find out that if you are stuck, there will be somebody in there that will be willing to help you. But just be ready to be humble. Be ready to become a student. Once you have that student learning mindset, don't carry any ego of I was the manager here, I was the supervisor here. It doesn't matter. You move to a new level, humble yourself, level with them, be ready to learn. To John's point, 6 months, 1 year, you have found your feet. You can then, and I think was IBK that said it, and as you see, your first job is to learn. Don't criticize, don't challenge anything. Just learn. And then as you now establish yourself on the job, the learning lets you to see, but this can be done better, but this can be done better, but this can be done better. Then you start introducing your own initiatives, until you assert yourself on the role and then you become the go-to person. So I don't know if I've helped you. I don't know whether it's because you are in a noisy place, but Teresa, you say you lost me for a while. So what I'm saying is be humble, level with the team, adopt the toga of a student, be ready to learn, and then get all the materials you can get anywhere you can get them from. Just adopt that student mindset. Leave whatever status you had, leave everything behind, level with them, find your supporters, lean very hard on them, shorten that journey. Once you establish yourself, then start finding ways of optimizing and introducing your own idea, introducing your own initiatives until you can then assert and establish yourself on the road. That's how I think you can navigate. But it matters not whether it is financial to investment or from financial to becoming a nurse or anything. It doesn't change anything. It's the same process. Interview is over now. Get in, be humble, learn, connect with people, find supporters, and then slowly start asserting and establishing your own identity on the job, and then you'll be fine. Yes. I hope that helped you. Teresa, please, can you type if you can talk? Yes. Any other question for us? There are a few questions that were on the registration form, but I want to know if there's any question from the audience here before we just try to take a few. One of the respondents here said, how can I become better at managing people who do not report to me? And I found this question very, very interesting. So we will need more context. I don't know if the person is here, but in the absence of the context, how you can manage people who do not report to you is to become a person of influence. Because if the only reason why people listen to you is because you manage them, then you are just a person of power. You are not a leader. So in managing people who do not report to you is a test of how much influence you are able to build. And how do you become a person of influence? It's about 3 C's. 1 C for competence, the other one for connection, and then the third C I will find once you get, and character. Yes, competence, connection, and character. Actually, character, competence, and connection. Because if you don't have the character, can people trust you? Will you snitch? When they give you an advice, are you actually humble enough to give them credit? Or everything has to have your name to it? So it is critical that you build character. Then if you don't know anything, people won't trust you. People can't follow you. So you cannot teach, you cannot give what you don't have. So whatever space you are, build competence, know your beat, and then connect with people, be a friend. Let people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So connect with people and let them know that you really care about them, and that way it is easier for you to influence people who do not report to you. Okay, so somebody is asking some very big question here. What's the next big thing to cause a wave around the world, and how can one be best positioned to take advantage of it? The next big thing is likely going to be around technology, and but unfortunately, the way I see technology coming, that very soon technology is going to be a commodity. So it's about being able to think critically. It's about being able to apply technology to your space. It's about being out there, just learning and seeing what is developing. You cannot take advantage of what is coming unless you lift up your head and you are very curious as to what is going on around you. Okay, I have not been mentored. Somebody saying I need a hand to help me get direction on how to run my professional business. Unfortunately, this is very vague. But if you are here, please reach out on HeyCoach or when we create that group, and then I can get into one-on-one with you to see how I can help you. Somebody is asking about strategic branding and packaging for upcoming small-scale business. Same thing, we need more detail, but again, there is a method to it. How to manage a growing team. How to manage a growing team with less skilled members in a space where speed is important. You just need to invest time to develop them. There is no shortcut to it. You have to develop time. You have to create time to develop them. It may look like hard work. It may look like wasted work, because you can start and 3 months later the person is gone. But you see, when you do this thing from your heart, it never goes away. It never goes away. But you have to manage a team where skill is required and they are not very skilled, and it's field it's a fast-paced environment. You have to become a teacher. Either you are teaching them directly or you are sending them to take courses mandatorily. And anybody who's not willing to take that learning, you are better off chunking that person and bringing in a brand new person who is ready to learn, because you can't get away from it. I need guidance with my business plan. Please reach out to me. I don't want to mention your name, but let's talk about it. I know you and you know me, so let's see how I can help. And if there's anybody who also wants to help, you can please let us know. How to prepare for a new career. Yes, let's talk. It's about where you are and how you want to go forward. And we can make this our topic for the next class if we see the questions that we get. So how to prepare for a new career, very, very, very important question. I'll take note of that and we'll talk about it. But I also know you, so please reach out. We've been talking, but let's talk in this land and see how far we can go. How do I excel in my new career path? I think we've spoken a lot about that. And that is all the question that I have. So like I said, we do not have to stay here till 8 o'clock. We've exhausted the question that we have. John, can you send up the poll while I just take up the final set of questions? Is there anything else anybody else want to add? Please don't jump off. I just like to get a sense of what you're thinking about this program. It's just, I think, 2 questions. So just to know how to make it better. So, but before we wrap, before we stop, any final question from anybody? Any final question from anybody? Any final question from anybody? Nobody's taking this poll. Please, let's take the poll so that we can just close the session. John, there are two questions, yes? Are they both here? Okay. Yes, the 2 questions are, this is all, yeah. So please just take this poll and then let's have, it's anonymous. We won't know who is saying what. Sorry?
3 questions.
Okay, 3 questions. All right, forgive me, 3 questions. Okay, please just scroll down and answer the 3 questions. So in the absence of any, sorry, I think I have something here. Okay, in the absence of any other question, I would just like to project our social media handle. Please follow them so that, again, this is purely not for money, but until we take the news out there, we will not be able to reach as many people as we should be able to reach. And please, if there's anyone who can help us, we're having problem with our Twitter handle. I should actually not be putting it here. It's saying temporarily suspended. We've done everything we can. So I don't know if anybody has any way to help us solve that problem. We've been at it for over a month now. That would be very much appreciated. I do not know what the problem is. I'm not a social media person, so I'm completely ignorant in that space. And then see the email address as well. You can always send in emails. This is the program one, and the lower one is mine. You can always reach out, and then we would, if it's something we need to bring to the group chat that we're going to create, we bring it in, and then we will take it up from there. So in the absence of anything else from anybody, I would like to just say a big thank you to all of you for making out time. And this one was supposed to be for last month, so we'll try and take the one for June, the last Saturday of June. So we are going to be sharing that link and then work on the content. And if there is anything at all you'd like us to talk about, please just send it into that group that we are going to create, or into the email addresses that you have seen. If there is any particular topic that you would like us to focus on, so that we can have that list, and then we can deal with them one by one as we go along. So on behalf of everybody that's been involved here, thank you very much. This recording will be shared. We have a YouTube channel, DLI, Development, Empowerment and Leadership Initiative. We have over 150 different trainings there. Feel free to go there. Some of them may be relevant to you. But this will also be added to it. So you want to listen again, or you want to share it with people in your network, feel free. It's completely free, no hidden cost or anything anywhere. It's just a charity organization. So let me not take more of your time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I hope to see you at the end of the month. Please, if you don't mind, can you all just unmute and say something and just tell everybody thank you, and then
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you for the session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.